thanks for coming on the podcast, Claire. It's really great to have you on. Do you just want to take a couple of minutes just to introduce yourself, where Hydrogen UK fits into the value chain, what your role is within the business?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, my name is Claire Jackson. I'm the CEO of Hydrogen UK. We are the UK Trade Association. So it is our job to bring together all the stakeholders that are working on hydrogen across the whole value chain to develop a sort of common vision for what hydrogen could and should look like in the UK. And then a collective position on what is it that we need to do now to make that vision a reality. So I've been working with the energy industry on hydrogen for about the last 7 years, which in some ways makes me a little bit of a veteran, given that hydrogen's are fairly new. I'm thinking I'd like to tell people I was working in hydrogen before it was cool. I'm going to have a t-shirt made. But yeah, no. So it's great to be here, and always happy to talk about my favorite subject, hydrogen.
Great. No, that's good to know. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of hype around hydrogen globally. Obviously 2021 was a huge year for the industry. What role do you see hydrogen playing in reaching our global net zero targets?
I mean, net zero is just not possible without hydrogen. Hydrogen has a number of key roles to play in helping us reach those global climate change targets. It's one of the key solutions that we have alongside electrification as we look to decarbonize the energy sector. As a chemical energy carrier, which is sort of cost effective to store and transport, it enables the greater deployment of intermittent renewable generation. We can generate renewable energy when the wind is blowing, when the sun is shining, and also in the geographic regions where it's cheapest to do so. And then we can use hydrogen as that medium by which to store and transport that energy cost effectively to where it's needed. Hydrogen is also a really great fit for a lot of the sectors of our energy system which are the hardest to decarbonize, like heavy industry, steel, chemicals, those sorts of things. Also aviation, maritime, some of those bigger transport sectors. I sometimes like to talk about net zero challenge a little bit like one of those old ketchup bottles. The first bit comes out very easily. Those are the things that you want to electrify, our offshore wind, solar, battery electric vehicles. That last 20% that's in the bottom of the jar, that's really hard to get out. That's what hydrogen's really good for. All of those things that are really, really difficult to do. And we need to decarbonize the whole ketchup bottle. So we're going to need electrification and hydrogen working together.
That's interesting. I haven't come across that before, but that's an interesting analogy.
You can have that one.
Yeah, no, I'll be passing that along. Obviously, already this year we have seen major investments, partnerships, numerous MOUs. In your opinion, what's positive, and at the same time, what are going to be the challenges for the sector?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the industry's taken a big step forward in the last 12 months. Let's face it, trying to keep up with everything that's going on in hydrogen is a full-time job in itself. Things are moving very, very quick. I think from a UK perspective, what some of the things that excite me, firstly, is seeing the value of hydrogen really starting to be recognized at a national level. The UK doubled its hydrogen production targets this year to 10 gigawatts. That's a massive step forwards. Alongside that, we're also starting to see greater clarity in the UK on how hydrogen production will be supported in the UK. I may be biased, but I think we have probably some of the most well thought out policies on how production will come forwards anywhere in the world, really. We're also seeing some really exciting projects starting to take shape in the UK, whether that's, the hydrogen neighborhoods and village trials that are being spearheaded by our gas distribution networks, SGN, NGN, Cadent. These are the first time ever in the world where hydrogen is going to be used for heating and cooking in homes. We've got some really exciting industrial decarbonisation projects that are being developed in our clusters in, HyNet in the East Coast, in Acorn. We've got some really exciting green production projects. The Gigastack project, which is looking to scale green hydrogen production and reduce those costs. In terms of the challenges, the vast majority of the large scale projects in the UK have yet to reach FID. That is massive. We've got this huge, really exciting pipeline of projects on paper, but we actually need to see those come forward. As with many net zero challenges, we are really facing a race against the clock, and we're in danger of losing that race. It's really important that we start to move really quickly. I think, seeing is believing, and we need to see more. We also need to really accelerate our activity on storage and transportation infrastructure. These are some really key parts of the puzzle piece, as we look to scale, will become increasingly important. Some of those projects have got really long lead times, so we need to get moving quickly on that. And I think, we've done a lot of thinking in the UK on production, and we now need to use that same level of detail thinking on end use sectors and how we stimulate demand in those end use sectors.
Yeah, definitely agreed. I mean, just a side note on that, we've been to a few conferences over the last few months or last year, really, and all the talks, there's such a push on scaling up production, things like that. And yeah, I completely agree. The same needs to be applied. Okay, I mean, just moving on to, I guess, Hydrogen UK specifically. What role do you see Hydrogen UK playing in developing the value chain through 2022?
Yeah, sure. So I think, developing that value chain, delivering hydrogen at scale, it's going to require a lot of collaboration. And a lot of these projects have got lots of very different kinds of stakeholders that quite often, wouldn't naturally come into contact with each other. And so part of Hydrogen UK's role is to facilitate that. As I was talking about earlier, to develop that common vision for what hydrogen could and should look like in the UK. And then to identify, what are the gaps? What do we need to do now to make that a reality? So it's to bring the industry together, bring government together, bring the investment community together, to try and get some of these projects moving. We cannot deliver net zero without hydrogen playing a massive role, and it will inevitably touch every part of our society. We need to be ensuring that we're bringing people along on that journey with us, whether that is policymakers, industry, consumers. Part of our role is to communicate effectively why hydrogen is important and how it will actually work for people. I think the last thing that I'd say is, we've got some great things happening here in the UK, but this is ultimately a global challenge. We've got a lot to learn from our international partners. I think we've also got some areas in the UK where we are showing genuine leadership. Our hope is that as Hydrogen UK, we can facilitate some of that dialogue, showcasing what is happening in the UK and where we're demonstrating some leadership, but also help to facilitate that discussion where we can learn a lot from our sort of European and international friends and neighbours.
Definitely. Yeah, it's going to require everyone to come together. I think everyone's on the same page with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, let's not forget, delivering hydrogen is incredibly important, but it's a huge challenge. This isn't easy.
Yeah, it's not easy.
We need to bring lots of people together. Big challenge. But
we are getting there. Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for coming on. It was great to hear about, I guess, your opinions on the sector, how you guys are developing. And thanks so much.
No worries. Lovely to be here.